Welcome to Leading the Follower with your host, Rebecca Benston. Good morning. It's me, Rebecca Benston, and I am here with you for Leading the Follower. It is Friday, finally. This seemed like one of the longest weeks ever, but we are here, and hopefully we'll have a good day and be able to rest over the weekend and recover from all the shenanigans that have taken place this week. Just before I get into sharing today's topic with you, I want to remind you to stop by the Higher Ground Books and Media website and check out our shop and see what sort of stories we have for you that might bring you a little inspiration and empowerment, and just maybe get you off of the wrong track if you've been thinking negatively and maybe just feeling like you were not good enough or not meeting the standard that you set for yourself. We've got great stories over there from people who have gone through all manner of trauma and tragedy, and their stories about how they overcame that with God's help will inspire you and hopefully lift your spirits and remind you that even if you make a mistake, you can always come back from it. So, with that said, be sure also to subscribe to our website and our online forum. When you become a site member, you have access to our forum, which has a nice board for prayer requests and praise reports. And we would love for you to start sharing those with us so that we can pray for you and celebrate your victories as well. Okay, so today I want to talk just a little bit. I'm not going to take up too much time because I want to keep this short for Friday afternoon. That's probably when it'll get out there. Has anyone in your life ever told you need to tone it down? Like, no matter what it is, like something you're very happy about, something you were feeling like you had accomplished something with, maybe, it's just your personality to be energetic or happy or upbeat, or, maybe you're a very faith-filled person and, you kind of wear it for everybody to see. Has anybody ever said to you that you need to tone down whatever it is that makes you the happiest about yourself? And I'm not talking about like negative habits that might make us happy for a moment and we know that the thing we're doing is bad for us. And someone might be saying, you need to stop doing that because you're hurting yourself. That's different than someone coming at you and just not liking the fact that you might be a little happier than they are at the moment and just trying to extinguish whatever light you have. And we know the difference. So, we also know when we're justifying behaviors we shouldn't be justifying, but that's a whole different topic for us to talk about later. I'm talking about when someone sees that you are doing what you have been called to do, and you have stepped up and you are saying the things you need to say and doing the things you need to do, and someone kind of says to you, I don't like that you do this, and I think that it's probably more of a bad thing than a good thing, and you should stop. Well, what do you say to that? I know that several people have gone through things like this, and I wanted to share my own experience with being told that I can't be Christian. or that it's not desirable for me to be a Christian or show any remnants of my faith to anyone. Years ago, I was working as a librarian, and I use that term just to cover the task that I was doing, because I am not a certified or a licensed librarian who has taken a library sciences degree. It's completely different. However, the tasks that I was doing, if you had to describe what I was, for all intents and purposes, a librarian. I think I was called like a media center something or other. I don't know exactly what their term was. Library, media center, aid, something. Anyway, I worked for the city schools in our town. And I had worked at one school for a little while. And then the following school year, I was going through a divorce, so we moved to a different part of town, and I ended up moving to another school and starting a new year over there, because it was closer to my house and also happened to be where my daughter would be going to school. And since we were going through this breakup of the family, and she was having to deal with moving and leaving her father and all that, I thought it might be a good idea for me to be in the same school that she was in. And so we made the move. She was also changing schools, so this was a significant, also a significant move just because of that. And she was having some struggles with it. She was like dealing with some emotional things there, and I wanted to be close to her so that if she needed me, I would be there. And at my previous school, it was a very faith-oriented bunch of people, and they were very supportive of things like that. We even had a group that was in the school, that did public outreach to the kids there. It was like a ministry for the kids. And I don't believe that is still in operation today, but what it amounted to is that there was a chaplain on site who would talk to kids who were having problems, counsel them, and, give them a little guidance that was faith-based guidance. But it was, I'm sure there was a lot of, understanding about whatever lines there are between, how far religion can go in the schools and that kind of thing. But it was an approved program that was in the schools at that time. And I happened to end up being on the board of that particular organization years ago, but that was short-lived because I had so much going on. I had to step off of that. So, but anyway, in the older school, my other assignment, there was no problem. I had this footer on my emails that I would send out, and it was just a Bible verse, just a simple, Jeremiah verse, nothing confrontational. It was just really an uplifting verse that I liked to share. So I put it on my footer, no big deal. Nobody ever said a word about it for like 2 years. I had it on there. So fast forward to when I moved to this new school. And obviously the climate was a little different there. The principal did not care for that sort of thing. And after I'd been there a little while, I had sent out an email to my coworkers just asking them if they would be interested in participating in a fiesta dinner that was a fundraiser for the ministry outreach. And it was something that was done within the public schools. So it was a public schools organization, and it was part of something that had already been approved by the school system. So it should not have been a problem for me to send this out. There was no pressure for anybody to be involved. But somehow or another, my principal comes to me and she said, "You're going to need to remove your footer from your email." And I just immediately was like, why? Because it'd been on there this was like the third year. And I thought, well, if there had been a problem, someone should have said something a long time ago if I wasn't allowed to do that. Other people put things in their footers that had nothing to do with school, and it was fine. And it seemed, pretty benign in terms of things that you could tell people about yourself or show people about yourself. So I said to her, why would I need to do that? And she said, well, because it offends people. And I thought about it, and I think this was probably the quickest I've ever answered somebody and had it make sense. I said to her, it offends me that you would ask me to remove it. And she just said, well, you're going to have to take it off there. And basically threatened me with disciplinary action and made just a big deal of it. And I ended up getting into a big dispute where I brought the union into it. And, I was put through a lot of things when I was on this assignment. And I can't remember now because I had so much going on at the time that was more important than this. Although this was extremely important and upsetting. I can't remember how it turned out, but I know that I ended up taking that footer off of my email because I was told that if I didn't, I was going to lose my job. Well, I took it off there, but I protested the whole way, and I told her that, I certainly didn't agree with the whole thing, the way it was done. And, after I thought about it, after a while, I ended up just resigning and leaving anyway. And I was like, well, if this is the way they're going to treat people, and it's not okay for you to share your faith in that way, then I don't need to be here. And it was a really difficult decision because at the time, I had just separated from my husband and I was preparing for divorce. I didn't have any other income, and it was very, very scary to just step away from my job when I needed it. And I hadn't expected so much to come from just a plain email that I had sent out. Shouldn't have been a problem. But this person had decided, for whatever reason, over the course of several months, that she was going to reprimand me for all kinds of little nitpicky things. And I can't remember if this was before or after the incident with the email. I'm thinking it was a little bit of both. But I had never been disciplined on the job before. Never. I'm usually a very compliant person, and I follow the rules, and I don't hurt anybody, and I don't do, things I'm not supposed to do for the most part. But I will stand up and, fight for myself should the need arise, because I don't appreciate being treated unfairly. It got to the point with her ridiculous disciplinary actions where she was writing me up, calling me into her office and having me sit there while she read to me what an awful person I was for whatever reason. I don't exactly know. These were all very petty little things that she was picking at me for. Things that other people were doing that weren't a problem, and it just was a problem because it was me. And since I was there, mainly so I could be close to where my daughter was. If she had a problem, I had told her she could come down to where I was at, to my classroom, my library, and sit with me if she was having anxiety and stuff. And that really shouldn't have been a problem. But they treated her like, it was just the worst thing in the world that she could do. So they were not fair in the way they treated me and my daughter. And I ended up leaving and eventually ended up pulling her out of the school as well. And it was just an awful, awful time period. But, the biggest thing that I took away from that is that they were doing everything they could to make sure that God couldn't be the focus of anything, And it was very disheartening that something as simple as inviting people to come to a dinner was blown out of proportion, and somebody was offended by an act of kindness and something that was supposed to be beneficial to someone. And looking at today, the way things are run and all of the things that we are supposed to tolerate in schools, it surprises me that I ever had this problem, because, I mean, the things that they're pushing now are far more detrimental than a dinner supporting an outreach for Christ. And I was so disgusted by all of this. But it only fueled my need to get out there and talk about God and to try and find ways to minister to people. And I ended up going after that and getting my advanced degree in discipleship ministry and all, and really doing a lot of things to get the word out and pretty much daring anybody to tell me that I couldn't. So, recently a friend came to me with a problem and said, someone is kind of saying some things that they shouldn't say about the way that this person presents themselves as a Christian, and how it's most likely causing her to not be as successful as she could be if she weren't so heavy on the Christianity. And I told her that, we're not supposed to pay too much attention to what people are telling us, especially if we know that God has told us we need to get the word out about Him. We need to teach people what He wants them to know. And if somebody is telling us that we need to tone it down, we know immediately that that person is on the wrong side of things. So don't put much stock in that, and keep doing what you're doing. If you're proud to be a Christian and you want people to know that God is what makes you happy, and God is what fuels your heart and keeps you going and inspires you, and you've experienced His healing and you've witnessed His healing, and you want everybody to know how wonderful He is, then by all means tell people in any way you can. And I just felt really sad for this person, because I thought, not only is this person doing everything they can to be successful in the work that they're doing and doing a fine job at it, but she's a very nice person, and she wouldn't dream of saying something so mean or rude to someone else. So, I encouraged her to stand up for herself. I stood up for myself at a time when it was difficult, but it worked out fine. God picked me right back up and got me what I needed. And the suffering is minimal compared to what it would be if you allowed people to beat you down into submission and tell you that you can't talk about your God, you can't talk about how great He is and all that He's done for you. So that's what I want to keep in mind today. I would like for you to keep that in your mind, and just, if someone is telling you that, you're too Christian, or you're too good, and you really shouldn't be trying to convince people how great God is, you need to turn your back on that, walk away from it, and not let that person infect you anymore, because they clearly have a demon that is on their shoulder, and they want you to carry one too. But that's not what we're designed to do. We're designed to carry the light of God in our hearts and to show that to people wherever we go. And, I'm grumpy by nature, but at least I do try to be someone who will share with you a story about how God has changed my life for the better. I will try to give you my testimony if I think that you need to hear it. I'm not going to force it on anybody, but I'm the first one to tell you how good God has been to me because without him, I could never have gotten through the things that I've been through. And there's nothing really more important than that. At this stage of my life, I definitely would never let someone tell me, hey, you can't talk about that. Well, there's only one way you're going to stop me from talking about it. And, well, if you choose to do that, then I'm sure God will take care of that. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today on this fine Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope that you take this time to reflect on how good God has been to you, that you don't ever let anyone tell you to tone it down, that you tell them, no, I think you need to turn your light up a little. And if you need help doing that, I can tell you some stories that'll inspire you and point you in the right direction. And then smile and go on about your day. We have to be steadfast in our love for God, and we have to not be afraid to present him to people who don't want to see him. We have to defend him the way he's defending us each and every day. And that's all the time, not just when it's convenient. So don't be afraid. Move forward, be a warrior for God, and keep your light on. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend, and I will catch you again on Monday. God bless. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to check out our website and blog. The blog is at www.leading-the-follower.com. Thanks and God bless.